So the old saying goes, what's the definition of a conservative? Well, it's a liberal that just got mugged, right? We are literally reading that story today. Here we go from Minneapolis. Let's get into it. Here we go. Anti-cop Minnesota Democrat calls for justice after being mugged and carjacked. Carjacking, that is an ongoing thing, isn't it? I just do a little crash into somebody, bump into their rear end, two guys get out, take your car. Not good. An old adage holds that a conservative is simply a liberal mugged by reality. It's another way. Mugged by reality. Reality happened. All of a sudden, you're now fighting for the same values that conservatives have been all along. In that vein, a left-wing anti-cop Democratic operative in Minnesota is now calling for accountability. Oh, hey now, accountability because something happened to you. Accountability after being mugged, assaulted, and severely injured by a gang of thugs. The thugs got her. As reported by Tampa Free Press on Thursday, Shante Sandan, a Minneapolis resident and the second vice chairwoman of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, described the attack and demanded justice in a lengthy Facebook post, which included the image of her face still bloodied from the attack. Well, I'd feel sorry for you, but when you went down that whole defund the police thing back in 2020, yeah, you ain't coming back from that one in my books, right? Not a happening. Yesterday, my children and I were, and don't get me wrong. I understand this woman went through a traumatic experience, but we've been saying this way before the whole defund the police thing. And you went through that. And then all of a sudden, just a couple of years later, you're like, oh my gosh, something happened to me. Oh, those police, they were excellent. Yesterday, my children and I were violently carjacked in the driveway of our home in Minneapolis. Shocking. 4 very young men, all carrying guns, beat me violently down to the ground in front of our kids. The young men held our neighbors up at gunpoint when they ran over and tried to help me, all in broad daylight, she said. And you wanted to defund the police and have no police. Interesting. I bet you anything. You called 911, right? And I bet you wanted as many cops come to your home as possible. Sandan implored people to look at my face, the face of a mother who just had the SHIT beaten out of her in front of her 4-year-old daughter and 7-year-old son. She recounted that her son was wailing for someone to come help because bad guys are murdering his mama in the backyard. Crime happens, doesn't it? It does happen. I have a broken leg, deep lacerations on my head, bruising and cuts all over my body. And I have rage, she said. Democratic leader said that she was still confident her assailants had attacked others before her. You think? And yet they are still on our streets. What? No way. Tell me it's not true. Killing mothers, giving babies psychological trauma that a lifetime of therapy cannot erase, with no hesitation and no remorse. Well, what would this whole scenario look like with no police officers, with defund the police, with eliminate the justice system? What would this look like? How do you think this would be better? Would this gang of thugs, would they just hang up their thuggery license and just leave everybody alone? I don't think so. We need to get illegal guns off of our streets. Yeah. How about you round up the thugs? Most of the time they're the ones with the illegal guns because most of them are convicted criminals that can't legally possess guns. And, they steal guns, illegal guns. You betcha. Catch these young people who are running wild, creating chaos across our city and hold them in custody and prosecute them. She ranted, period. I think a lot of us on just a scooch right of center have been saying the exact same damn thing for years, right? Hey, you want to get some action in your community? You have to throw some people in jail. But we're just not doing that because the optics of throwing said thugs in jail. Yeah, can't have that. No siree. No, we got to let these folks just roam around. Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's 2023. This is literally what we're doing. Look at my face. Remember me when you're thinking about supporting letting juveniles and young people out of custody. Why is age coming into this? Why are you so specific on age? How about any criminal activity, no matter how old they are? Don't be ageist, right? So young people out of custody to roam our streets instead of holding them accountable for their actions. Shante Sandan continued, you could have been reading the obituary for me and my children today. Well, yeah, but we're not. And we've kind of been saying all along, and I'm speaking for this channel, you got to have some consequences to your actions. Otherwise, this is just going to keep on going. One of your neighbors is going to get hit up, and the exact same thing's going to happen to her or him. It's just, this is just reality. She ended the post by expressing gratitude to the incredible cops who responded and helped her. Huh. Yeah. The irony, of course, is Shante Sandan now demands what she once wanted to deny others. After the death of George Floyd in 2020 and during the ensuing riots by Black Lives Matter, Shante Sandan claimed that she and other left-wing activists were going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. And only a short few years later, you are praising the incredible cops that you wanted to dismantle. This is where this whole thing just drives me batty. It's like, what did you think was going to happen if you disbanded the police? What was going to happen? Yeah, well, you're experiencing it on a very small scale. Yeah. And so, this criminal activity that's just spiked, doesn't it feel like somebody just kind of gave that green light? All right, let's light this one up. Go ahead. Go for it, guys. Do your best. You got the green light on carjacking. You got the green light on, whatever it is. In June 2020, she added the Minneapolis Police Department has systematically failed the Black community. They have failed all of us. It's time to build a new infrastructure that works for all communities. If you're still disagreeing with that basic fact, I'm not sure what to say to you. All right. So it appears that this woman has reimagined and rethought her approach to public safety. So now that something has happened to her, it's no different than we've got city council members here. Hey, somebody threw a rock through my window. I need accountability right now. Or, the mayor's house gets rocked. They've got a march on the mayor's house like we did here at CHOP. And all of a sudden, send the cops in, sweep that CHOP Chaz deal, sweep it out. Because this isn't working for me anymore. Coming from leadership position, it's all fun and games, and it's all great when you're going down this roadway. But, the reality of that was, defunding the police was a horrific idea and has had some immense consequences across the United States. Look at cities like Seattle and Portland that can't get enough police officers. It just can't do it. I was reading because the police officers aren't there. Nobody wants to be a cop. You demonized policing. You demonized public safety, like with this nonsense here. If you're still disagreeing with the basic fact, the police department has systematically failed the Black community. We had the George Floyd thing happen. All right. Is that an example of everyday occurrence all across Minneapolis? Do you have some bad cops out there? A very, very small percentage? Absolutely. You got bad people in every industry that sometimes do horrific things. But you don't blanket the entire industry and go, all accountants are bad since that one did this. Get rid of all accountants, rework the whole system. You don't do that. And in the meantime, you do need to have police because they're the ones that come when you call 911. It's kind of that simple, right? So you want more training? Oh, look at how that's going in Atlanta. Cop City. They're still trying to protest Cop City. They did throw the book at, I think, 17 of those stinky Antifa members. They're all stinky because they don't shower. That's why I say they're stinky. I'm not throwing out an insult there. They don't shower. And, the folks I was around at, Black Lives Matter and Antifa folks at CHOP did not smell good. So that's where I'm coming from there. But, you've got issues that are ongoing. You can't get enough cops. I read a big statement from the NAACP where was that? Oh, it was Oakland. Oh, they're on a roll. They came up with a 10-point plan so that their mayor can pull her head out of her ass and get something going. I don't know what they've got going on in Oakland, but it doesn't look good. It just, they're going in the wrong direction. Oakland is basically the poster child for all that is wrong with failed America, right? I mean, so close to San Francisco and all the goodness San Fran doesn't have the goodness anymore, right? But the NAACP in Oakland came up with this 10-point plan. Their first initiative, point number 1 was get 1,000 police officers up in here. And you're like, that is an admirable plan. But if you've been watching the numbers of police officers hired versus retiring versus quitting versus lateral move out of, defund the police departments, the numbers are not good. You are not on a positive. You're not on a net in migration. You've got a negative. Seattle, I mean, you're hiring some cops, but you're still losing a bunch. So that is not happening. And there's no police department out there that is saying, yeah, we got 1,000 guys and gals that we can throw out there and we can help you guys out. Yeah. Anybody need a job? We got extras. That's just not a reality. And so this Christmas wish list from the NAACP to make things better in Oakland was like, those are admirable goals because they're trying to figure something out to get, some public safety up in the community, but they're not actionable goals. You can't really do them. So, we've gone from this whole defund the police thing to, oh my gosh, that wasn't good. That was a bad social experiment. And we threw it out there. By we, I mean communities in general. Seattle did the same thing. You will still drive through some of these neighborhoods in Seattle and you'll see, Black Lives Matter and defund the police signs up in their homes because they believe that's a thing. Meanwhile, you got 4 people being murdered in Wallingford in what's been a relatively quiet community. And you got some crazy stuff going on. And not all of that is because of the defund the police thing. But when that stuff does happen, you've got less police to respond and all the lower level criminal activity, it just kind of goes by the wayside because the cops don't have enough bandwidth to cover it all. They come in with, XYZ number of calls already on record. They're going to try and get to something. All right, we'll go off to this call and they leave their shift and they got 35 calls still waiting. It just goes on and on and on because you don't have the resources to make public safety a thing. So folks like this individual are responsible for this attitude towards policing and all the impact that it's had because people looked at the whole George Floyd thing, looked at how policing was handled, looked at what the nation said about police officers. I mean, that very vocal left minority that was so vocal and, caused $5 billion worth of damage across the United States. 2 billion of that was insured. Another 3 billion probably uninsured and business owners just figured out how to make it go. I mean, $5 billion worth of damage. Meanwhile, we got January 6th and they're worried about $1.5 million in damage. $1.5 million versus $5 billion. You know what I mean? And those numbers are, and I understand they're not like for like, but when you had the whole defund the police thing and just all of a sudden businesses are being burned down, cities are being burned, I was like, where are we going with this? Where does this end up? And that's where I was like, this is ridiculous. This is not going to work out. And it's not. And when that happens to a member of the community who's in politics and it happens to her, I have zero sympathy. From an individual humanity standpoint, I don't want to see anybody get jacked. I don't want to see anybody get hit in front of their kids. I just don't want to see that, right? I mean, that's a no-go. But when it happens to somebody who dials up 911, help me, I'm being accosted. That's when you're like, nah, you just need to take it. You just need to take it, because this is ultimately the lesson you need to learn, is that when the bad man comes, you're going to call 911 and you're going to want to send a big cop or multiple cops to come help you out. I know that's what she's thinking. Dear God, make a bunch of cops come, make them come now, because she's getting her world rocked, right? But that's what happens. And when you go the other way and you say no more police without a program in place, without some kind of substitution, if we had a whole nother policing system that worked better, that we statistically knew, hey, this is what we're going to do. Let's shift some money from there to this, and we'll see what happens with the criminal element. I'm listening, but you don't have that. And you never did. You just got on this kick of, defund the police, greatest concept ever. Well, how'd that work out for you there, or whatever your name is? Not all that great. Broken leg, beat up face. A lot of people are saying, hey, crime is going up. And you know what? Statistically, I think so much of it is. I also think so much of it is basically underreported, because people just aren't reporting it because they know nothing's going to come of it, because they know the police are overburdened, or they're in an area where you got a district attorney who basically does nothing. I was reading an article right before I did this podcast. I kind of was getting this podcast together, and it was saying in Portland that Mike Schmidt, the district attorney there, hasn't prosecuted a single felony case since he's been elected. And isn't that literally what the district attorney does? Huh. And you throw that out there with defund the police and all this other craziness. That's how you get where we are. That's how you get where in broad daylight, somebody jacks you because they know, and beats you up because they know not much is going to happen. So how about them apples, right? How about them apples? Oh, that's not good. That's not good. I got beat up. Oh, well, maybe you should think about that the next time you come up with a ridiculous idea that has a major consequence to public safety. I don't know. I'm just saying. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I will catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.